Welcome to a very special episode of The Seat That Matters. Today, we are not just having a conversation, we are putting a future leader on the hot seat. The SRC elections are fast approaching, and it is time to separate the talkers from the doers. My guest today is not just a name on the ballot paper. He is bold, articulate, and intelligent. He believes he can lead thousands of students. But then again, when the lights goes off and then the pressure is high, will he be able to withstand it? That is what we are here to find out. So take a seat, grab a drink, and let's get started because this is the raw room of leadership. And today on that seat, we have Nkonimadom Kwabena Yeboah. So Nkonimadom Kwabena Yeboah, can you please tell us more about yourself?
All right, thank you for the opportunity. Nkonimadom Kwabena Yeboah. I'm currently level 300 undergraduate student at University of Ghana. I'm reading public administration and information studies as a combined major. A debater, public speaker, an intellectual discourse enthusiast, and one that loves leadership positions as well, basically.
Wow, that's great. So the next question is, what inspired you to run for the SRC president?
Right. So my inspiration came right from my first year. I've been into various leadership positions, but not one that is so as political as this, right? This involves a lot of partisan politics and all that drama. But my inspiration came when I realized that there's a lot of narratives that exist about the SRC which should not be. In essence, I thought that as one that possesses this enthusiasm to redefine the status quo, I should aspire to be the SRC president and redefine the wrong narrative that exists about the SRC. So mainly it's about redefinition of the narratives and two, to broaden the scope of impact that lasts beyond just my tenure.
That is beautiful. So, what personal values do you stand by as a leader?
First thing I would say I stand by is to have the value for honesty. Right. So I wouldn't want to go into office and have people's trust, in my hands, and definitely in the long run, I just disappoint them. So I think first of all is honesty. If I wouldn't be able to be up to the task, I wouldn't even run for it in the very first place. And right beyond that, I deal with integrity and honesty. So basically, these two values are things that I believe I possess, and are things that yes, I also need in the long run. Yeah, basically.
So, Mr. Nkonimadom is a honest person. So, guys, I think he's the right person for the job. What past leadership roles have prepared you for this position?
Alright. So I think first off, leadership is not necessarily in a position, but it's in a personality. Right. So in my very first day, I didn't have any leadership positions to hold and to work in. But what I did was just equal to that which a leader in position should do. So I made sure that the position did not define me, but my personality defines the position. So from the first, I didn't have any leadership position that people were looking forward to. But in my second year, and just in less than a year, I was elected as the minority leader of the University of Ghana Parliament House. And that's one of the most vibrant caucuses actually I would say in the house. And beyond that, I've been the academic committee head for the Information Studies Department. We boast over 10,000 students, and I'm in charge of the academic resources, the past questions, the slides, tutorials, and all of that. I've also been involved in being the secretary of the finance committee of the public administration department as well. So these are the three main things that I've done, involved myself in, as well as being a member of the welfare committee of the Debate Society. These are all like a lot of rules. Course reps are the least talk of, but the most involving as well. So basically, I think these roles are the ones I've been involved in and are good enough for this position.
That is beautiful. I'm amazed. So, how do you handle pressure or criticism from the student body?
Right. I think I'll start with the latter, which is criticism. Well, if criticism is constructive, then I have every right to receive it. You know, if it's criticism that's constructive, then I realize that it's towards an expected end. So people are not just going to stand up and say anything because they are tired of the leadership. If they're going to be tired of leadership, there's got to be a reason why they're tired. So first of all, I analyze the reasons why they are tired, the reasons why this constructive criticism comes in the first place. I receive it. First off, it might not be as pleasant as you might want it to be. But as long as it's towards an expected end, because first of all, I look at things from the perspective of the people. They're criticizing because they want something to be seen and to be done. So that means that there's much more work to be done on my end. In essence, I embrace every form of constructive criticism. But beyond that, with regards to pressure, I think the SRC is quite a very big role. And so in preparation towards this, I've built a community of people that effectively help me balance studies, work, and everything that I'm involved in, basically.
I'm glad that as a leader, you can be able to stand pressure and criticism. So let's move to welfare and policies. So what are the top three priorities if you are being selected as an SRC president?
Right. So the first thing I would deal with is communication. Right. So, and this in relation to my experience so far. The times we are doing a lot of things, but people do not know you are doing a lot of things. In that regard, they cannot say or vouch for you when you are being criticized in that regard. So many leaders exist on campus and they're putting a lot of efforts to make sure that things work for the student body. But most of the times they're not communicating enough. And so people are lost as to what the progress is, what the hindrances are, and what the alternative mechanisms to achieve those particular goals are. So I feel like the very first thing I'm going to do is to ensure that there's enough communication. Scholarship opportunities exist, but students do not know about them. The policies that the SRC is trying to run, but people don't know about them. So if I think there's one thing that has to be tackled from the onset, it has to be communication, effective communication that runs through the entire university such that every student is well informed about every decision that the university is taking. The second thing has to do with accommodation issues. So many a times we have administrations come in and promise us they're going to build an SRC hostel, and people are amazed. And at the end of the tenure, we hear nothing about it. So, in regards to this, what I believe should be done is to bring in a long-lasting structure that is going to ensure that at a certain stipulated point in time, we're going to have the SRC hostel established. If there's a need for people to come in and to support, how do we get these people to support? These are conversations that should not only be held at the top, but with every single student on campus. So I think first off is communication, second of all is accommodation. And the third thing has to do with bringing about innovative ideas among student bodies. So there's one initiative that we started which has to do with study boards, and that's utilizing people who have read courses like computer science to change the narrative when it comes to the challenges we face with communication in terms of IT stuff. So technical things can be solved by students in the school. So it's basically utilizing the potentials that exist within the University of Ghana itself. So these are the three things that I'm going to champion when I come to
That is
office.
beautiful. So concerning the accommodation with the previous government, they failed to do certain things. So what are you bringing on board to make the change?
All right. So I've been able to answer this question bringing about three distinctive metrics. Okay. So first off is the metric of what you are going to do, how you are going to do it, when you are going to do it, and what the scope of impact is in the long run. So accommodation crisis exists not just on main campus, Kolebu, city campus, and the like. So then the question then is, does a single SRC administration have the capacity to erect a new SRC hostel, whether it's on main campus or satellite campuses? That's the very first question. Do you have enough capacity to do it? The question lies in the balls of the court of those who are in power. But then, what's the alternative mechanism I believe should be used? The SRC has not been spoken of as having a long-term plan. So, in relation to capacity of building these SRC hostels, if it cannot be done in 1 year, how do you have an effective 5-year plan to erect enough rooms for a lot of people on campus? So, the very first thing that I would say should be done is enough communication about the subject, which is the SRC hostels. People are complaining we have paid hostel dues or the SRC dues or for the SRC hostel to be erected, but we've heard nothing about it. Maybe they are plans, but as I said earlier on, there's no communication as to what the plans look like. That's the first thing. So let's sit management down with the student body and open conversation about what we're going to do about the SRC hostel. So first off is a communication point of view. The second thing has to do with a long-term plan. So in the first year, how many floors can you build? In the first year, what is the capacity? What is the number of acre of lands that you're going to be able to utilize to build the SRC hostel? Thirdly, how many companies are interested in investing in the SRC hostel? We don't have conversations about this. Is it going to be sole sourcing or open sourcing? All these mechanisms are things that we're going to put in place to ensure that we have an effective and well-defined plan as to how we're going to get the SRC hostels across all satellite campuses and the main campus as well. communication, open source and closed source of funding. Thirdly, a long-term plan or a structure to ensure that it's going to be established in the long run.
That
Basically,
is great. So what's your stance on? Okay, we are moving on to the next question. So let's talk about financial transparency and accountability. How would you ensure transparency in SRC funds and project management?
right? So with transparency, I think it should even be the easiest thing to do if you're entrusted with people's money and not your own money. What that means in the very first place is that you have enough reason to make sure that you have all the accounts in a particular regard. First and foremost, you realize that people who are going to run for the position of treasurer who handle the funds are people who must have an accounting background. What that means is that first and foremost, there must be that competency in terms of monetary affairs. Secondly, it has to do with having the right books. Okay, so you realize that if it comes to people and in terms of transparency, when it comes to financial activities, you realize that it's either an overestimation of things or it's to a very large extent pricing things that do not even exist. So what I would do and want to champion is that every single plan or project that is being embarked on must have adequate number of receipts, one. And two, if there's a committee that is made to go out and find out from places what to receive pro formas, for example, every single member of that committee should be a part of the game. So I'm not just going to leave it to the accounting department or treasury department. I'm going to be a very integral part of something of that sort. What that means is that we're going to be doing periodic updates. It's not just going to be the state of the SRC address, where I'm going to tell them that, oh, we use 200,000 CDs for this particular project. But on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, or bi-weekly basis, we're going to ensure that we address the public or the student populace as what exactly projects have been done, how much is going to them, if there were sponsorships, where did they come from? How much do you receive from sponsorships, and where did the rest or the remains go to in the long run? So it's being able to address every single PESWA that comes into your courts as the SRC, basically from my end.
So from my understanding, you're telling me that you're going to address a press conference on concerning the finances and you're going to be transparent with concerning everything that has to do with it.
Everything. So when
Okay.
it comes to books, records, everything must be on point in that regard.
Okay, that's great. So what system will you put in place to involve students in budget decision making?
Great. So when it comes to involving students, I think first of all, one of the very useful things that I do when it comes to conversation with students is that I wouldn't say the policies I'm going to bring on board are ABC, but the first question I ask is what policies do you desire? Okay, so from the onset, it's not my policies, but from the onset, it is our policies. Because the fact that I'm a student, I've been a student for the past 3 years, means that I've been able to resonate effectively with whatever problems that you as a student are facing. What that means is that we share the same burden, and in the long run, I've involved you in the formulation of policies. We'll go to rooms and speak to people. They tell us of their grievances, tell us what exactly they want to have the SRC, next SRC administration do in the long run. What I do then in the long run is that it's one, either I add them to the policy team, or two, I just take notice of it, write it down, and on the spot, I'm able to deliver as to how we're going to implement those particular things. So before the budget reading, or even during the budget reading, we're going to have it at a time where students are going to be on campus, whether residents or non-residents, with something that's going to be done probably during the day. Because most of it happens on Sunday evenings. Many non-residents are not on campus. So the question then is, how do they take part in that? So what we're going to do is to first of open the forum or open the floor for people to have adequate time to bring in the effective policy that we should implement before we finalize the policies, before we finalize the budgets, what exactly our administration is going to do, basically.
That is insightful. So we are moving on to innovation and digital solutions. So what role will technology play in your administration?
Right. So what technology is going to do basically is to one, unearth potentials, two, bring about a certain level of ease in terms of academic work, and beyond that, or basically the student's life on campus. So one problem that we faced for so long a time is that we always have to go to the bomb library sites to download past questions, and it has to be done one at a time. You can't download like two, three multiple at the same time, so it's going to be time consuming. One, and two, there are times where the site is jammed because so many people are utilizing the site at the same point in time. So what have we done to solve that particular solution? In collaboration with a company known as Quivertech, we developed a study bot that is both accessible on Telegram and WhatsApp. So how then is this effective or as a solver to the problems that we are facing? Now, you don't need to go to the BAM library site to download past questions again, or there's no tendency for having the site jammed again, because now just on WhatsApp, you have the bots, you can place in your course code for the past question you want, and on the spot, every available past question in relation to that particular course is brought to your doorstep. And all you have to do is to click on the all option to download every single past question. Right after that, you have access to the groups, my groups for information, and my contact is there in case you face any challenges. So this in itself is not just to propagate myself, but also promotes tech solutions in the University of Ghana, because this is something that no one has done in the University of Ghana, and it's a step in the right direction to promote the students that are innovative and politicians that put lasting solutions to the problems that we face on campus.
Life will be made easy for the students.
Exactly.
So, security and well being. How will you address security concerns both on and around campus?
Right. So with security concerns, right, they are on two perspectives and two tangents. One is from the student body. Some students really are not security conscious, and that's something we have to bear, because I'm in a world where people could leave their rooms without locking them for hours. This isn't a problem of management, one. This is a problem from the student, his or herself. In that regard, first off is to make them aware of the fact that security must be done from their end first. Secondly, to install enough CCTV cameras around the various halls and on campus to ensure that even though people are going to be erroneous to do certain things that would make their security being jeopardized, we still have an alternative mechanism to check these things in the long run. So installation of CCTV cameras is something that we're looking forward to implement. But on campus, at odd hours when people want to step out to go and study, we have issues where sometimes they're being attacked by thieves on the roads and all of that. We noticed that one reason why they do that is because we have a lot of bushy areas in the school. So with these bushy areas, the thieves are able to hide in there and jump onto someone who's just walking late in the night. We realized that there were a lot of police or patrol services on campus, but we don't think that they're enough for the entire University of Ghana. So first, it has to do with negotiations with the police service at the Legon police station and beyond, if necessary, to have enough people or police service personnel stationed on campus at vantage points and in places where there's a lot of security being obscured in the long run. So first off, CCTV cameras, educating the people on how they have to be security conscious on their own, and thirdly, negotiation for more police personnel to be on campus to patrol at all hours of the night.
But the thing is, with the security cameras, some are being fixed and then we have no one to monitor it. So, how are you going to handle that?
Right. So monitoring too basically is not shouldn't be an issue, because if you look at halls from my perspective in the diaspora where you have the usual hostels, there are a lot of people on duty every single day. So you can go in the morning and meet about four porters, in the evening meet three porters. So if it's about monitoring, I don't think it should be an issue, because three of them could attend to people who want their keys or are returning their keys, and one person could monitor the cameras, or even if that one person is not enough, we can negotiate and lobby for them to bring in more personnel to be able to effectively monitor the entire environment.
Great idea. So, how do you plan to ensure fair representation for minority and less head student groups?
Right. So with minorities, I would basically say I am one who has experienced being in the minority for quite some time, not just because I'm the minority caucus, but also in terms of courses. So my slogan for the SRC is one Legon. And I go in with a message that segregations on campus should not define our representation on campus. So the fact that I'm a Bachelor of Arts student doesn't mean I should be looked down upon by a Bachelor of Science student. We go into places where we have people read theater arts, music, dance, and people feel like these courses are less endowed in essence. We don't need to respect them in that regard. So what's the solution I brought in mind, and what do we tell people in that particular regard? The reason why people are looked down upon first off is because the others don't think or perceive the value in these particular courses and these particular sects on campus. So as the SRC, what we can do is to first of all develop the value in these courses and programs that these minorities are involved in. Secondly, beyond development is a projection, a promotion of the value in these courses. For example, people who read language courses are not respected because they feel like Chinese is not important in Ghana or French is not so important in Ghana as well. But then the question then is, what can the SRC do to curb such a narrative? One, there's a Chinese embassy or there's a Chinese ambassador. There's so many Chinese corporations in Ghana. Why not link these people to these corporations to first of all produce or make known the value in speaking Chinese, working with people in these Chinese firms to ensure that the Chinese you are learning to speak is not necessarily only limited in the classroom, but even beyond the classroom during your vacation, the SRC has secured internship slots for you in Chinese firms that utilize the speaking of Chinese. And French institutions as well, the same can be done. And these are things I believe, first and foremost, can be done to ensure that minorities, first of all, have their value on earth, and two, promoted based on the platform that the SRC has to offer.
One Legon.
All right,
So students often say SLC campaigns are full of promises, but little actions. How will you prove them wrong?
right. So I've basically told them the criteria they should use to mark everyone who is given promises. So you can have people come and promise you amazing things, but they promise you amazing things without the structure to ensure that they are achieved. Here's the thing, most of the people that complain like these are people that vote for certain candidates, mainly because the candidates give them maybe food at the program or give them drinks at certain functions. And the moment a drink is passed on to certain kinds of students, the very first thing they say is, "You've got my vote." If he's got your vote because of the drink, he has no obligation to come in and fulfill so many other things you didn't vote for him for. So in that regard, I asked them this question. If I always come to you with a lie and I always get away with it, will I change my approach to get what I want from you?
No.
Of course not. But the moment the electorate understand the value of their vote, one, and two, assess every candidate with regards to what exactly they say they are going to do, they can ask them questions like, how are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Based on a time frame. Thirdly, what's the scope of impact? And lastly, how sustainable is what you say you are going to do? What that means is that beyond establishing what you say you are going to do, you're going to provide a maintenance culture system to ensure that these things last beyond your tenure and will be effective for generations to come. So if it's just about promises, ask yourself why it's still about promises. It's still about promises because you do not question the people the right questions. When you begin to do that, they will stand on their feet and deliver on all the promises they say they are going to deliver on. Easy.
One Legon is here to deliver all his promises as promised. So what's your response to those who claim student policies is full of personal ambition and not service?
Right. So the only way you're going to be able to judge whether it's based on personal ambition or service is to look at the trademark of the individual. What has the person done, or what did the person do when he or she didn't have a position? That is why I was able to say when we started the interview that I did not make the position define me, but my personality defined the position. In that regard, you're going to look at what the person has done. The study bot will serve me and serve students for years to come. This is another reason to show that it's not just about the personal ambition. If it's about the personal ambition, I'll go all out, spend so much on giving people things like food and the rest, which really do not or should not define even the status quo. I have given a lot of books, well over 1,000 books. What have these books been able to do for the students? Because every student on campus should be able to buy an exercise book, right?
Yeah.
But then what's on these books that gives them something different? On these books are links to my mentorship page for all freshers. On this book at the back is a QR code to my page where I've installed a lot of past questions, information. On this book again has the links to the most important places on campus like the career and counseling department and so many other places or departments on campus that be of use to the students during their life on campus. So it's not just about giving them a book to say vote for me. And even on the book, there's nothing like vote for me. On the book is basically value and the ways to attract this value for the student body, basically.
Okay, thank you. So, with the vision and legacy, what kind of legacy do you want to leave if you are being elected?
Right. So the legacy I would want to live is one that basically speaks about the student body first. Not just the student body first, but how to consistently meet the needs of the student body at all points in time. Because administrations can do one or two things and be praised for it. But the question then is, for the remaining 8 months or 10 months they're going to be in office, will they consistently respond to the needs of students? If they can't, then I don't think it's a legacy that should remain. But for me, what I want to do is to one, leave a legacy, right? That is involved or that has the students I've had consistently. And two, not just live in my tenure, but beyond my tenure, produce things that last for the entire student body to develop or benefit from it, basically.
So, where do you see yourself 5 years after serving as an SRC president?
Right. So right after 5 years, I should be bold enough to say that I've been able to mentor at least 2,000 young men and women in the area of public speaking, one, and two, in place of leadership, just as I have my initiative that has trained close to about 500 young children in basic schools in terms of debating and public speaking for free. So in the next 5 years, I should climb the ladder in the political space. And two, in terms of self-development, I should have my name out there. In terms of public speaking as a great orator, I should have myself there as well. And should be able to come back to the University of Ghana and still see my impact being felt on campus.
So, should we call you future president?
You should.
Okay, so in one sentence, why should the students of Legon trust you and vote for you?
Students of the University of Ghana should trust and vote for Nkonimadom because he's not just here for personal ambition, but to redefine the status quo to make the University of Ghana and an SRC that works and solve the problems of people consistent. Hello friends, it's Nkonimadom, your SRC Presidential aspirant and your brother all these years. So it's not just a matter of the elections that are coming up, but the value of these elections in the long run. There's a time for you to be able to make a decision that you'll be proud of the next year, the next years, next 2 years, and so on and forth. There's a time where you're going to make a decision to redefine the SRC, to make the SRC work regardless of the challenges that it faces. A time where you're going to make this decision to ensure that we all have a one Legon that works for us, regardless of the courses, satellite campuses, regardless of our residential statuses. We're not going to be looking at all these representations to respect ourselves, but the mere fact that we're Legonites is enough reason for us to be respected, given enough attention, value, and enough support to make the life on campus a better one. Go for Nkonimadom, the one Legon agenda. We're here to redefine the status quo. Thank you guys.
So, we are playing this game. So, you choose the one you like.
Okay.
So,
Let's
so
see.
this is the food edition. Jollof rice or wachi?
Jollof.
Banku or tilapia? Banku and tilapia or fufu?
I take fufu because I don't like tilapia.
Okay. Kelewele or chichinga?
Killing.
Okay. Sobolo or palm wine?
So below, never taken palm wine before.
Music and entertainment. Shatawale or Stoneboy?
Well, Satawale is funny. Stoneboy has a lot of wisdom. I'll take Stoneboy. Yeah.
Black Sheriff or King Promise?
I'll take Black Sheriff because he's just different. He's unique, I'd say.
Kofi Kinata or Kidi?
Hmm. PD. I wouldn't take Kofi Kinata. Well, because I don't really understand the tree. And it sucks.
Azonto or Al Qaeda?
As well too.
Okay. Church or Okada?
I'll take Jojo. There's drama in it.
Kente or Batakari?
Kinte.
Independence Day or Homo Festival?
Independence Day.
Beach Day or Hike at Ebri?
Hyper Eagle.
ECG or water shortage? ECG or water shortage?
It's water shortage because ECG is like terrible now.
Kumasi or Accra?
Accra.
Dumso with the fun or no Dumso with no fun?
No doom so no fun.
Hmm. Kenke with shito or kenke with stew?
Kiki with you.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us to the end of today's conversation on the seat that matters. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you.